Have you had days where you felt like you accomplished nothing? Do you stress thinking about the future, where you want to be, and the work it'll take to get there? Are you anxious to get to the finish line, aka reach your dreams or goals, and neglect enjoying the process of the day-to-day grind because of it? Today I want to talk about the importance of focusing on winning the day in front of us. When I stopped wasting energy thinking about the future constantly, I was able to enjoy the day-to-day process and find gratitude in it. By creating a to-do list of items to complete, I'm able to focus on what I can control today, which helps me win my day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob A. Each week on these solo podcasts, I try to share some insight on topics to help you become the best version of yourself. Do I have all the answers? Absolutely not. This is just my bearded wisdom that I hope brings value to you. Now, if you enjoy this podcast episode at any moment in time, please, all that I ask, screenshot this episode on whatever platform you are listening in on, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bob A. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Share out the podcast on your IG story. Let me know what the biggest takeaway was, what the learning was. This is extremely crucial to growing this podcast. So know that when you do so, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let me know what the biggest takeaway was, as I am super, super curious. And lastly, if you have not yet signed up for our weekly Bearded Wisdom newsletter, coming in hot every Tuesday to your inbox, head over to itsthebeardedman.com to join. That's weekly wisdom delivered directly to your inbox. What else could you ask for? That's itsthebeardedman.com to join. The link is also in the description of this episode. Now let's get at today's podcast, shall we? Sit back, relax, buckle up. Let's have a good time today, ladies and gentlemen. Win the day. 3 important words. Let me say it one more time. Say it with me. Win the day. Now, if you've been following me for a long time on social media or listening to my podcast, you have probably seen me post or talk about you win the morning, you win the day philosophy that I live by. Now, it's not about what time do you get up in the morning. It is about what do you do within those first couple hours of the day after you wake up. Do you jump right into answering texts, checking social media, and getting pulled in every direction the world wants you to go? Or do you prioritize yourself first and focus on your personal development, such as reading, working out, journaling, meditating, calling a loved one, etc.? Always, always, always choose the latter. And as much as I love this philosophy and will forever live by it, this really only focuses in on jumpstarting your day. And it's not about the whole 24 hours in front of you. One of the biggest takeaways that I had from my conversation with Dusty Watton, that's this week's podcast guest, who is a U.S. men's national volleyball player and World Cup champion, was his obsession for the process, right? When I say the process, I'm talking about the day-to-day grind where the dirty work is done. This is where champions are truly made, the place where nobody is watching and it is on you to get the job done. It is our day-to-day decisions that add up over time that allow us to reach our goals and manifest whatever life we envision for ourselves in the future. Now, what Dusty talks about is the importance of him creating this list, and what this does, it allows him to accomplish his task for that day because he always goes back and refers to the list. Now, it's a list of items that he needs to get through on any given day, right? This can include working out, watching film, meditating, journaling, eating healthy, reading, etc. It's not about the end results, right? He's not saying lift 200 pounds on the bench or read 60 pages of the book. He's solely focused on the process of doing something. Showing up and doing it is what is within his control. Now, when he first started creating his list, it included just 4 items. At the time of the recording of this podcast, in the beginning of July when we had a chance to record it, that list had now evolved into 28 items. Now, that may seem like a lot, but all that he's done is he's broken down every single possible task, just not the big items, right? Now, there have been times in the past where I get anxious thinking about all the things that I want to accomplish in my career, my personal life, or even sometimes just the day ahead of me, right? I mean, who hasn't dealt with that before? But by focusing on my list daily, I've been able to slow down these thoughts and instead get obsessed with what I can control, which is my actions in this moment or this day in front of me. As soon as I was able to do that, I was able to enjoy the daily grind much more, and I found love in the process. I recognized that if I don't enjoy the process on a daily basis, how am I ever going to enjoy the finish line, right? How miserable would it be to stress and hate the day-to-day work of 10 years of working towards our goals, to then reach the goal and look back thinking, wow, I feel like I wasted 10 years of happiness trying to get here, only then to realize that now it is time to get to the next goal. There will always be a higher mountain to climb, so I've convinced myself that no peak, no destination, no goal accomplished will bring me a lifetime of happiness. True happiness, in my eyes, is waking up every day, understanding my true north of wanting to help people become the best version of themselves and finding gratitude in the process of getting there on that day-to-day grind. If I'm able to do that, I'm going to be one happy camper on a daily basis, with, of course, my days here and there where I don't feel too hot. But on average, I will feel great because I'm focusing on that day-to-day grind of what can I control and how is this helping me get to my true north. Now, by creating a list of daily tasks to accomplish, we hold ourselves accountable to crossing them off, which helps us win our day. Now, when you stack up those winning days over an extended period of time, we are bound to get to where we want to be. Brick by brick, that's the name of the game. So here are some principles to winning your day. Number 1, create your list. Now, the first step to winning your day is defining what tasks are going to help you improve by 1% on any given day. Every list is different based on your goals and what you prioritize. If I were to create a list for the day ahead of me today, it would have included gratitude journaling, lifting weights, meditate for 10 minutes, listen to the daily podcast, eat healthy, hydrate with water, record this podcast, edit next week's guest podcast, brainstorm creative TikTok ideas, read for 30 minutes, etc., etc. Notice that I'm breaking down every possible task in my list, which allows me to focus and cross off one item at a time instead of being overwhelmed and not being sure of what do I do next. I just follow the list. It's like a sheet of instructions. You don't skip from 1 to 10, you just go in order. And break it down step by step of what you want to accomplish and in the order of which you want to get it done. When we do that, you know what you're supposed to do next instead of getting overwhelmed trying to figure out which tasks you should attack next. If it helps, break down these tasks into morning, afternoon, and night tasks, right? You can go a step further than that, and you can even assign certain hours of the day to accomplish a task, which then helps you focus in on it within that given time frame, because you know you've allocated 1 hour of the day to work on X. You damn well better get X done before that hour hits, because you know you then need to move on to the next task. So for example, for the days that I do run in the morning, it's at 6:30 every single time. I spend 0% of energy debating when do I want to go for a run, because once that mental alarm clock hits 6:30 a.m., it's time to cook up them morning miles. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no time wasted trying to figure out, do I want to run now? Do I want to run later in the day? No. 6:30 a.m., that's when I'm doing it. As I mentioned earlier, Dusty started with just 4 items on his list when he first started off. and then he added more along the way. I'm not suggesting that you create a list of 30 plus items today and start that list tomorrow, because that might be too fast, too quickly, and that sure as hell will be overwhelming. Go at your own pace. Start with a list that is comfortable to you and add more along the way when necessary. If it's 4 items to start, great. That's a start. With time and consistency, you will build that list out and be in full control of your day. Creating your list allows you to be accountable on what you can accomplish in the day ahead. By doing that, we spend less time thinking about the future and instead focus on the present moment. Number 2, make adjustments when necessary. Even if your list is 20 plus items deep today, there's a good chance it will change with time. When something doesn't seem to provide you as much value as it once did, or doesn't need to be on the list anymore, pull it out and get rid of it. More items on the list doesn't mean we are more productive. Some items on that list might take more time than others, so it's always going to be a quality over quantity game. For instance, my Monday list may include 20 items, but my Tuesday list might include only 15 because there are certain tasks that I need to accomplish that day that will take longer than others. Our priorities change daily, and our lists will reflect on that as well. Here's a realization that I've made about my own list. It's broken down into 2 sections. I have daily items that never change, no matter the day, no matter what's happening within that day. These items forever stay the same. Some of these items include fitness, meditating, journaling, reading. These are all part of my daily list that does not change. Editing a podcast, recording a podcast, prepping for a podcast are always switching based on the day. And that's and depending on what day it is will depend on what that priority might be. It is okay that I make those adjustments. That is my responsibility in owning my list. So make adjustments in your list when necessary. Priorities will change on a daily basis, and we need to readjust accordingly. Number 3, be realistic in expectations for the day ahead. This is your friendly reminder to not overwhelm yourself with this list. The goal is to create it to be something that truly allows us to conquer the day. We don't want it to feel unattainable or something that has us up till midnight, leaving us no room for sleep or rest. Start slow and build with time. Be realistic about what you truly can do in a day and stick to it. Are there going to be days where you work harder and longer than others? Yes, that's a given. But is that sustainable on a daily basis over a long period of time? Speaking from experience, I don't think so. So please, for your own sanity, wellness, and mental health, do not make your list unaccomplishable. The goal is to end the day feeling productive and proud that we crushed the day, because it'll carry momentum into the next day. The goal is not to feel miserable because we still have items that we have yet to get to. Be realistic in expectations for the day ahead and set yourself up for success. To recap, the benefit of creating our list is that it allows us to focus on what we can control in a given day. Instead of getting stressed or overwhelmed about getting to the finish line of our goals, we instead start to focus and fall in love with the daily process. There are always going to be higher mountains to climb, so it is crucial that we find joy in the day-to-day grind. 3 principles to winning your day. Creating your list allows you to be accountable on what you can accomplish in the day ahead. By doing that, we spend less time thinking about the future and instead focus on the present moment. Number 2, make adjustments in your list when necessary. Priorities will change on a daily basis, and we need to readjust accordingly. Number 3, be realistic in expectations for the day and set yourself up for success. There's only so much you can do within 24 hours. Don't create a to-do list that is impossible to accomplish. Challenge for the listeners. Take 10 minutes sometime in the next 24 hours, because maybe you're busy driving your car, you're at the grocery store, you're in a workout right now. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not going to say do it right now because you might be busy. So my challenge for you, in the next 24 hours, I want you to take 10 minutes to create your list. Start with just a few items, and when you are ready for it, add more. My suggestion would be start with items that you know, no matter the day of the week, you want to do for yourself. Those tend to be the fitness related, reading books, maybe working on a passion project, whatever it might be. Start with just a couple items that for you need to do every single day to feel like you've accomplished your day. And as you get comfortable with crossing off those items, then start to add in more and start to add in items that maybe change on a daily basis. See how this changes your focus from the big picture of where you want to go, and instead it focuses on what is in front of you today. Give the list a try and hit my DM letting me know if it's helped you. I promise it will be so much more fulfilling at the end of the day when you go, I just crushed all these items on my list. I can go to sleep a happy person with a smile on my face because I know I was productive, because I can look back on this list and see what I've accomplished. Don't get overwhelmed about the future. Cross that bridge when you get to it. Questions from the Bearded Man community. That is the BMC. If it's your first time listening, welcome to the community. This is, a community for all, and all are welcome. It costs you $0 a month. And thanks for joining. This question came in from Austin Cole. He chimed in on this week's topic and said, being okay with your productive hours. Personally, a morning person. This is key. And this goes off of what I was saying about being realistic about expectations for the day ahead. I think what I've come to acceptance and realize about success is that it is not some massive leap in time. It is truly baby steps taken over a long period of time that get you from point A to point B. Once you come to terms with this, you get done what you need to get done today. You recognize that there will always be more work to be done, and you pick up where you left off tomorrow. Now, finding those hours of the day that you are most productive is extremely important as well. Everyone is different. And so once you find the hours that you work best, double down and block those time off for you. I personally avoid all morning calls or meetings because I'm a morning person just like Austin. I know these are the hours that I get the most amount of work done, so I make sure to prioritize myself before anyone else. Is it selfish? Well, I know that if I'm not prioritizing myself, who will step in and allow me to do so? I'm going to leave you with that right there. Am I right or am I right? I think I'm right. No other further questions for at least the Bearded Man community. We did not have a pod review of the week. So if you would like to be this week's pod review, please head over to the iTunes podcast app. Leave us a one sentence or one word review of the week. On the review, I should say. And then you will be next week's pod review of the week. So please do so. It is really helpful in the analytics of the iTunes podcast app. If you enjoy this podcast at all today, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bob-A. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Let me know what the biggest takeaway was, what the learning was. Even if it's just one word or one sentence, tell me what you learned and share it out with the world. It is the greatest way for this podcast to grow organically. And truthfully, it means the world to me. Every time I see y'all beautiful people sharing out the podcast on your IG story, just know you're getting a big old smile from the Bearded Man. So please keep doing it because I greatly appreciate it. That is episode 115. Win the day, create a list of tasks, and stay accountable to crossing them off daily. It's the Bearded Man Podcast. See ya!